There is an island on Earth where partying and luxury mix like nowhere else. A territory where thousands of billionaires from neighboring countries cross an entrance bridge to escape laws and control. A small and conservative country in appearance known as Arab Las Vegas because everything that happens here stays here. In this new video from Uncensored World, we will travel through Bahrain, one of the richest and most enigmatic countries, considered the most liberal in the Gulf, albeit secretly. A land where until very recently women ruled, because men spent months at sea searching for pearls. A nation known as the Kingdom of Pearls, because it held the most coveted pearls on Earth. To the point that in the past there were the famous Pearl Girls, young women who welcomed divers with passion, offering them company and music during festive nights. A transformation that turned the country into one of the richest on the planet with the arrival of oil. And that also changed its traditions to wild parties, to the point that today it is known as the place where Arab millionaires go to sin. An extraordinary region that contains a tree over 400 years old that survives without water, camel races where the jockeys are robots, luxury artificial islands where only those who can afford it can enter, and which hold secrets that no one dares to reveal. Get ready to discover what lies behind the extreme luxury and silk veils of this legendary country. Let's get started. In a remote corner of the heart of the Middle East, between the gentle turquoise waters of the Gulf and the sun-scorched dunes, lies Bahrain, an archipelago as tiny as it is enigmatic. A place where marble palaces gleam under a motionless sky and skyscrapers rise like glass mirages. Behind this modern facade, behind the extreme luxury and perfumed veils, this kingdom hides forbidden secrets that only a few have heard whispered. Secrets separated by the King Fahd Causeway, which is crossed every weekend by thousands of people from neighboring Arab countries, many of them millionaires seeking thrills that you will soon discover. In the streets and avenues of Bahrain, money moves like an invisible current. Supercars roar in the shadows of ancient mosques, while elegant women, hidden in abayas that conceal their most intimate secrets, cross in front of hotels where princes, businessmen, and billionaires from across the Gulf gather. In this country, many of its inhabitants train falcons that can often be seen flying over the golden domes of their palaces and mosques, crossing paths with private jets taking off for unknown destinations. A reality that makes it clear that everything in Bahrain exudes power, tradition, and sin. Bahrain is located on a series of islands that timidly jut out into the Persian Gulf, occupying a strategic position in the heart of the Middle East. Despite its small size, this kingdom is home to more than 1.5 million inhabitants, a surprisingly high population for an area of just over 700 square kilometers, making it one of the most densely populated territories in the entire Arab world. Its density exceeds 2,000 people per square kilometer, a figure similar to that of the most crowded European cities, making Bahrain feel more like a vibrant metropolis than a country. The country borders only Saudi Arabia, to which it is linked by the famous King Fahd Bridge, while Qatar is very close by, on the other side of the calm waters of the Gulf. As you will see throughout the video, the laws in Bahrain are much more flexible than in its neighbors, and this, combined with the fast pace of life and the countless entertainment options in these so-called Arab Vegas, makes the kingdom the perfect destination for thousands of people who cross its borders in search of freedom and thrills. The name Bahrain comes from the Arabic al-Bahrain, which means the two seas, a reference to the fresh groundwater that mixes with the salty sea. A perfect symbol for a country where everything has two sides, one visible, bright, and luxurious, and another hidden, mysterious, and forbidden. But what you are about to discover is not just its present, because the history of Bahrain is an ancient tale, a story of seas, overflowing wealth, and an ambition that forever changed the destiny of this small kingdom. Many centuries ago, before steel and glass dominated the skyline, Bahrain was nothing more than a humble archipelago on the shores of the Gulf. Its people lived off the sea, fishermen, sailors, and merchants who rose with the pink light of dawn, and returned when night enveloped the waters. No one imagined that this seemingly insignificant land held a treasure more valuable than gold, because Bahrain was, according to ancient stories, the home of Dilmun, an almost mythical kingdom. The paradise spoken of in Mesopotamian tablets, the gateway between gods and men, and its wealth did not come from armies or empires but from the sea. Thus, for generations, the coasts of Bahrain became the heart of the world's pearl trade. The most beautiful, perfect, and desired pearls came from these waters. They were so valuable that Persian kings, Ottoman sultans, and European empresses competed to possess them. They were called the Tears of the Moon, because the pearls that were born in the waters of Bahrain were so perfect, so bright, and so pure that the ancients believed they could not have been created by mortal hands or by simple chance of nature. They said they were drops of light, fallen from the sky, tears shed by the moon during its quietest nights, which descended into the sea and transformed into living jewels inside oysters. This is how entire villages lived to the rhythm of the sea. Men would set out for months in wooden boats and dive to the bottom of the ocean with nothing but a basket and a clamp on their nose, often for weeks or months at a time. Meanwhile, the women ruled on dry land. They were the ones who commanded and managed the houses, the markets, the money, and the community. Bahrain thus became a silent kingdom of strong women, while the sea devoured the lives of men and gave them back pearls. Legends tell that at night, when the divers returned exhausted, some young women known as the Pearl Girls welcomed them with music, stories, and companionship. These were nightly celebrations in which the women of the village sang, played instruments, and welcomed the men returning from the sea after weeks of danger and silence. They performed rituals to attract good fortune, lit oil lamps, and sang songs about love, the sea, and destiny. Bahrain was then a living fairy tale, a kingdom of light and mystery. But everything changed almost suddenly, and speaking of suddenly, now is the best time for you to give us a like and help us work every week to help you discover the world like nowhere else. Thank you. Everything would change with the arrival of oil in the mid-20th century, and that is how that archipelago of fishermen, women who managed the household, and pearl divers was transformed into one of the richest nations on the planet. In a few decades, wooden boats were replaced by highways, futuristic towers, and resplendent palaces. The Kingdom of Pearls became a paradise of luxury, a place where billionaires from neighboring countries cross over every week in search of what they cannot have in their own homes: freedom, parties, and secrets. Tradition mixed with modernity to the point that in Bahrain, realities occur that, for any visitor, border on the eccentric, but are completely authentic. One of the most surprising is camel racing. Not with people, but with tiny ultralight robots. These small mechanical jockeys, shaped like metal dolls, wave their arms as the camels reach incredible speeds under the desert sun. It's a scene that seems straight out of a post-apocalyptic future, but here it's as commonplace as going to a soccer stadium. The robots are controlled remotely from SUVs running parallel to the track, where the owners shout, cheer, and adjust the controls as the creatures race along at full speed. It is a perfect blend of ancient tradition and cutting-edge technology that only a country like Bahrain could make a reality. These races also hide a curiosity that very few people know about. The owners often dress the robots in small colored shirts, replicating the uniforms of professional jockeys. It is a symbolic way of maintaining the visual tradition, even when technology has replaced humans. Some robots even carry tiny digital whips that gently strike the air, simulating the movement of the old jockeys. It's a detail that is as surreal as it is fascinating. But Bahrain's oddities are not limited to robots. As you travel around the kingdom, you will discover luxurious artificial islands that seem to float on the water, built to house mansions, exclusive hotels, and private clubs where entry is only granted to those who can afford it, or those who know who to call. In places like Amwaj Islands or Durat al Bahrain, behind doors guarded by cameras and private security, Meetings and celebrations take place that never appear in the media. Parties where music, glamour, and privacy are the absolute rule. And in contrast to all this artificial luxury, in the heart of the desert stands one of the greatest curiosities not only of Bahrain, but of the entire world, the enigmatic Tree of Life, a solitary giant that has survived for more than 4 centuries in a place where, quite simply, nothing should survive. There are no rivers, no oases, no shade, and yet this tree continues to live, proud, defying logic and nature. Scientists study it, locals revere it, and travelers look at it in disbelief, trying to imagine where it gets its life from in a land that seems punished by the sun. For many scientists, it is a botanical anomaly. They have been studying it for decades, trying to figure out how it can stay green in an environment that exceeds extreme temperatures, with thirsty soils and no visible water source. No explanation quite fits. Some talk about extraordinarily deep roots, others about underground streams that have not yet been mapped. But for now, these are all just assumptions. For the local inhabitants, however, the Tree of Life is not an anomaly. It is a symbol, a sacred spot in the desert, a reminder that even in the harshest circumstances, life can rise up, strong and silent. Many have revered it for generations, and they say that their grandparents taught them not to get too close at dusk, because when the shadows fell, the tree seemed to change shape. Among the most popular theories is the idea that the tree feeds on an underground oasis hidden beneath the sand. Others claim that there are freshwater streams running through that particular area of the desert, a geological anomaly that would allow life to exist. But what is truly curious is that even in years of extreme drought, the tree shows no signs of weakness. Over time, legends have sprung up around it. One of the oldest claims that the Tree of Life is a direct descendant of the tree that appears in the ancient civilization of Dilmun, the mythical paradise mentioned in Mesopotamian tablets. According to this belief, the current tree would be the last guardian of lost knowledge, a kind of symbolic gateway between the earthly and spiritual worlds. For photographers and explorers, the Tree of Life is a must-see. It is one of the most photographed places in the country, and whatever its origin or secret, the truth is that the Tree of Life adds a layer of magic to Bahrain. Its mere existence is enough to make it one of the most enigmatic and powerful spots in the country. And the curious thing is that just a few miles further north, reality changes completely. There, in the traditional markets of Manama, another of those eccentricities that surprise any visitor comes to life. Amid narrow aisles and the aroma of spices, trained falcons are sold that can cost more than a luxury car. These birds, ancient symbols of status and nobility, even travel on planes with their own passports, a privilege reserved only for the most valuable creatures in the Arab world. In the mornings, on the outskirts of Rifa, it is common to see these falcons training in silence, soaring through the sky with precise movements while their keepers watch with pride. And if you venture along the coast, you will discover another secret that keeps old Bahrain very much alive: traditional pearl diving, a craft that has survived despite the passage of time. Modern divers follow some ancient techniques, diving without oxygen tanks and with traditional baskets to search for the kingdom's last natural pearls, authentic treasures that still lie on the seabed. Few activities connect as much with the glorious past of Dilmun as this one, where the silence of the ocean and the shine of a newly found pearl tell stories that refuse to disappear. But most people who come to Bahrain do not do so for its legendary past or its eccentric realities, but for something much more earthly. Because this small country, so conservative in appearance and steadfast in many of its Muslim traditions, is known throughout the Middle East as the Arab Las Vegas. A place where, as those who visit it say, what happens here stays here, and there are many, both men and women, who cross its borders hoping precisely that things will happen. Although Bahrain seems discreet and quiet from the outside, inside it beats to a completely different rhythm. It is often described as the most liberal country in the Gulf. a secret that is not usually mentioned in public but which everyone knows. Here, modernity mixes with tradition in an unexpected way, creating an atmosphere that is unique in the region. Despite its tiny size, this kingdom has become a magnet for thousands of visitors from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar. In their countries, life is marked by strict rules and tight social control, but when they arrive in Bahrain, they feel like they are entering a parallel world, where pressure disappears and freedom is breathed in every corner. The adventure begins even before setting foot on the island. The famous King Fahd Causeway, which connects the Saudi coast with Bahrain, becomes an endless river of luxury cars every Thursday. It is the prelude to the Arab weekend, a kind of modern pilgrimage to a place where time is lived differently. Thousands of drivers cross this bridge in search of relaxation, fun, and a break, even if only for a few hours, from the expectations that weigh on them at home. Once inside the country, it is easy to notice the difference. The authorities act with a gentleness that surprises those coming from abroad, and the urban atmosphere invites freedom. The streets are full of life, hotels welcome visitors from all over the world, and the mix of accents and cultures transforms the city into a fascinating crossroads. It is common to see women in Bahrain wearing lighter clothing than many visitors to the Gulf are accustomed to seeing, walking naturally along the shopping avenues of Manama, feeling comfortable and safe. For those arriving from countries with stricter norms, this simple image is almost shocking, a huge contrast to what they experience in their daily lives. This visual and social freedom creates a special atmosphere, an environment where glances linger a moment longer than usual, and conversations flow with unexpected ease. But what many people don't know, and what greatly surprises visitors, is that even when some women wear elegant abayas, carefully arranged veils, or perfectly placed hijabs, underneath they may be wearing modern and luxurious garments that you would never imagine. In Bahrain, high-end lingerie is a well-kept secret. Many young women buy exclusive, delicate, and eye-catching lingerie, both for personal style and for the tradition of feminine elegance. It is a fascinating contrast. On the outside, sobriety and cultural respect. On the inside, sophistication, color, and details designed to make them feel beautiful and confident. This balance between what is shown and what is hidden is one of the most enigmatic and seductive features of Bahrain. A transgressive detail for the most curious visitors, especially single men who would never imagine that, beneath such seemingly discreet attire, a whole world of luxury fashion, intense perfumes, and exquisite fabrics could be hidden. A duality that perfectly sums up the spirit of the country. Tradition on the surface and vibrant modernity just below. At this point, we would like to ask you, what do you think of this duality reserved for only a few? Have you ever been to a place where what happens there stays there? And what happened? Pause the video and leave us your comment. It will be great fun to read it, and you know that doing so is the best way to support Uncensored World, so that we can continue working every week to bring you content as interesting as this. So thank you. Luxury hotels also become key points in this atmosphere. In them, groups of young Saudis and Kuwaitis book entire rooms in advance, not to rest, but to enjoy an intense, pressure-free weekend. The illuminated terraces, private spaces, and relaxed atmospheres create the perfect setting for unexpected encounters and the beginning of intimate relationships, always with respect and discretion. In private clubs, which can only be accessed by invitation or through contacts, business people, tourists, expats, and women looking to have fun without restrictions mingle. Nothing is shown explicitly. Everything is subtle and elegant, but the atmosphere is charged with energy, and intentions flow between gestures and smiles. Here, many stories begin without a name and end without a trace. Or as they say here, what happens here stays here. That is why one of the keys to Bahrain's appeal is its discretion. Unlike other destinations, no one asks too many questions, no one judges, and no one looks twice. That feeling of total anonymity is what drives so many people to cross the bridge every weekend. Here you can meet people, Let yourself go, strike up a conversation with a stranger, and experience an intimate moment that remains etched in your memory. And only there. Even on the private beaches where the blue of the sea seems hand-painted and the sand shines like fine gold, you can feel that relaxed atmosphere that does not exist in other Gulf countries. Young people from all over the world sunbathe in light clothing. Tourists chat with locals, and the sound of the water accompanies encounters that last only as long as the tide allows. In shopping malls, trendy cafes, and on the boardwalks, the same thing happens. A constant mix of cultures, styles, and personalities that clash, attract, and complement each other. It is in these spaces that many people find what they were looking for: freedom, fun, and perhaps a connection that would be impossible in their own countries. That is the real reason why Bahrain earns its nickname as the Arab Las Vegas every weekend. A place where all you have to do is cross a bridge for everything to change. The rules, the atmosphere, the attitude, and for some, even their identity. A refuge where many come to live life to the fullest, to meet people they would not meet elsewhere, and to experience a kind of freedom that, for them, only exists here. Thinking about how fascinating Bahrain is, you are probably wondering how you can visit it and what the must-see places are, as well as how to enjoy it to the fullest without spending a fortune. The good news is that traveling to this corner of the Persian Gulf is now more accessible than ever. From Europe, connections to Bahrain are quite simple. Bahrain International Airport receives flights from several airlines from European hubs with stopovers. You can find tickets from cities such as Amsterdam or Frankfurt for prices starting at around $300 to $600 for off-season travel. The official currency is the Bahraini dinar, although most international tourists pay by card, and US dollars are also accepted in hotels and high-end shopping centers. The official language is Arabic, but English is widely spoken in the tourism sector, so you won't have much trouble communicating in hotels, restaurants, or shopping centers. As for tourist visas, Bahrain has simplified the process considerably. You can apply for an electronic visa, e-visa for tourists, and the fee for a 2-week entry is around 9 Bahraini dinars plus the application fee. This lowers the barrier to entry, which is ideal for planning spontaneous trips. Getting around the country is also convenient. In the capital Manama and its surroundings, you can use taxis or ride-hailing services such as Uber or similar. The distances are not huge, which helps keep travel costs down compared to other luxury destinations. Although Bahrain has a reputation for extreme luxury, it is also perfectly possible to travel more affordably. For example, you can find modern 4-star hotels in Manama at fairly moderate rates if you book in advance or travel in the off-season. In some cases, rooms in 4-star hotels in Manama can start at around $40 to $50 per night. In other comfortable, good-quality hotels, prices are around $130 per night for comfortable accommodation in a central location. Of course, this is for the basics. If your dream is to stay in one of the ultra-luxury resorts, on artificial islands or in private villas, prices rise considerably. For example, high-end resorts in Bahrain are listed at between $200 and several $100 per night, and can even exceed $1,000 for luxury suites or exclusive villas. For a more practical reference, imagine booking a comfortable 4-star hotel in Manama for around $130 per night. If you add breakfast, local transportation, and some entertainment, you could have a complete stay for a moderate budget. On the other hand, if you choose a luxury resort with sea views, privacy, a spa, and premium services, you're easily looking at $500 or more per night, and during special seasons or for exclusive suites, even much more. As for food, dinner for two at a mid-range restaurant in Bahrain typically costs between $30 and $40, not including premium drinks. And if you buy food at a traditional or simple market, you can get a good meal for about $5 to $10 per person, depending on the type of stall and the location. So yes, traveling to Bahrain can be affordable if you adjust your expectations and choose your dates and accommodation wisely. But it can also be a totally luxurious experience, suitable for billionaires. As for the must-see places to visit, the city of Manama stands out with its mix of tradition and modernity, the archipelago that makes up Bahrain with its private beaches, and of course lesser-known but mysterious sites such as the famous Tree of Life, which we have already mentioned. Explore the traditional souks, the pearl culture, and the vibrant nightlife as well. Of course, the most important thing to keep in mind is that, although Bahrain is one of the most progressive countries in the Gulf, there is still a mixture of traditional norms and social customs that should be respected. For example, in public spaces, it is advisable to dress modestly, cover your shoulders and knees, and behave discreetly when it comes to displays of affection. As you can see, Bahrain is a destination full of contrasts: futuristic luxury, ancient traditions, breathtaking natural landscapes, and a changing society with celebrations that are sure to surprise you. It is a place where you can enjoy unparalleled experiences, whether you are looking for the ultimate in luxury or an authentic and more affordable adventure. For all these reasons, we at Uncensored World hope that this trip has fascinated you as much as it has fascinated us. If so, don't hesitate to leave us a like and a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working every week to bring you interesting content like this. Or like this video that you can now watch to discover another of the most mysterious and beautiful places on the planet in our latest video. Click on it. You're going to enjoy it.